Welcome back to Inside the Trailer Sports Podcast, your source for news coverage, wild takes, guaranteed bets, and other types of sports games. We have hit the 10-episode mark with today's episode, Connor, and we've got some brand new content to go over. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited. Our 10th episode, so yeah, let's get into it. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, we had to get a little spiffy for today's episode. You're coming straight from work, so you got the nice outfit on.
I did.
I got something I've never worn before, so...
I like it, though. I like the button.
Yeah, it's clean.
Yeah, it's clean. I like it.
I feel like it's more meant for, like, I don't know, like a night out.
Yeah, I was going to say,
like that,
it'd be like a night out shirt, but it's still nice, though. It's still a nice shirt.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's nice.
I like it.
Okay, so let's jump into our first segment of the day. We'll be going over some of the NFL Divisional... Oh my god, I spoke too fast. NFL Divisional Matchup Predictions. That's a mouthful. So last week we went 4 for 6 because we both had the same first round.
Yep.
We missed out on two teams, the Vikings, and what was the other team? It was the Chargers. The Chargers also lost.
Yep.
A little bit surprised about the Chargers. Less surprised about the Vikings.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's forget that though, and let's just strictly stay into this week's matchups. So I mean, let's start in the West. Let's start with one of the more important matchups this week: the Commanders and the Lions.
Yeah.
What do you got out of that game? What are you seeing? What do you think?
I think this could be a fun game. Lions coming off of the bye week. We got a very tough Lions team going up against a young Commanders team. Jaden Daniels leading them to their first playoff win in, I want to say, almost 20 years now. It's been that long. So exciting times for Commanders fans. The team's up on the rise, but they're playing a tough Lions team this weekend. But unfortunately, I think that the run is going to end this weekend, and I think the Lions are going to take this one. I've got the Lions going all the way, and I don't see their run stopping now. I think this is just the first stop for them. So
yeah, I agree with that. Something kind of interesting that I just remembered, like off the top of my head, is that obviously Ben Johnson is the offensive coordinator for the Lions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last year he was almost on the Commanders as a coach, and he had said that he wanted Sam Howell as the starting quarterback. Did you see that too?
Yeah, I saw that.
I think it's interesting because had they went with Ben Johnson, probably the right candidate choice, but the fact that Sam Howell would have probably been their quarterback, they wouldn't even be in this matchup.
Absolutely not. They wouldn't have been. They've been fighting for a top pick in the draft, most likely.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think Jaden Daniels is that good.
Jaden Daniels is awesome, and I think they made the right move. You know what I mean? And Ben Johnson went back to the Lions. I think it worked for both sides. I think Ben Johnson made out well, staying with the Lions, and I think the Commanders ended up going and making the right move by not getting him in the long run.
Yeah.
But,
and now Ben Johnson is looking for another coaching job. Maybe the Raiders.
Yeah,
that's what I've been seeing. So he's making out well either way.
Right.
So both parties kind of won on this one. And when it comes to the matchup, the Lions versus the Commanders, I'm going to have to agree with you. I feel like the Lions are just a powerhouse.
Yeah.
As good as the Commanders have been, I don't think they got it. I don't think they got it.
I don't think they got it this year, but I think next year, you know what I mean, once they start building up the team a little more, I think they could be a dangerous team next year. But that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, again, I'm going to take the Lions over the Commanders this weekend.
Yeah.
Could be a tight game, though. I think it definitely could be.
Could be.
Yeah, so the next game we got the LA Rams and the Eagles, which is another fun NFC matchup right here. So, who do you got?
You know what? The Rams surprised me. As I watched that game, I realized quickly, why did I pick the Vikings in the first place? The Rams, I mean, Sam Darnold has barely no playoff experience, I don't think, right?
I know.
Yeah, so I don't know why I picked I don't know why we picked the Vikings. Just because they had Jefferson and Addison, probably.
I mean, they went 14-3. They had a really good record.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and
they were one game off of being the 1 seed. So I'm not gonna say why we picked them, but hindsight's 2020.
Yeah,
the Rams are a tough team. They started off slow in the season, but they picked it up. I think they ended up finishing. I don't remember.
I think it was 10-7.
Something. Yeah, they finished 10-7 in the league, or in the season, and they got into the playoff spot. They're a tough team, though. Yeah, they're a tough team.
It's tough because I want to say Eagles, but I don't know. I feel like this could be a lot closer than we think.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of me, like, in my original bracket, choosing the Eagles, I think I'm going to say the Eagles, but I would not be surprised if the Rams also got another upset here.
I could definitely see that happening too. Yeah, I mean, I'm still gonna take the Eagles here.
Yeah,
I think it's just gonna be a close game. I think regardless,
That's what I'm saying.
I think it's gonna be a really close game. There's some two great defenses and two good offenses. You know what I mean? I think that's gonna be a good clash. But I think the Eagles are gonna take the better of this one.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. And let's hop into the AFC here. We got Texans Chiefs. This one's interesting. What do you got, man?
The Chiefs. I mean, it's just easy. It's the Chiefs. Like they're gonna power their way through. The Texans are still a good team. They're missing a couple key players. You know, Diggs is out, Tank Dell's out. That leaves now Nico Collins to have to be feed targets. And it worked against the Chargers last week, but I think this is where the run for the Texans is over. I think the Chiefs are just gonna power their way into the next round.
Yeah.
I don't think this is gonna be a close game. I could see it being at least a 10-point game here.
Oh yeah.
So.
I mean, it would have to take C.J. Stroud, well, first of all, doing what he did last week, and also just outplaying how he usually does in order to beat this Chiefs team.
Absolutely.
Key to this game, if you're the Texans, is outscoring the Chiefs, because the Chiefs are one of 4 teams this season who have not scored 30-plus points. I think that says a lot, and I think, just last week against the Chargers, which is a good defense. Don't even get me wrong. They're a really good defense. You scored 32 on them, I think it was.
Yeah.
The Texans can win this game by outscoring Mahomes. Then again, Mahomes in the playoffs is super clutch, and I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden this is their first game that they score 30-plus points. And
it could very likely be. I mean, again, like you said, the key to the game for the Texans is defense. They got to contain Mahomes.
It's defense and also scoring more points.
I mean, yeah, obviously when you're trying to win a game, you need to score more points. But I think, obviously with a powerhouse like the Chiefs, you need to be able to contain that offense.
Yeah.
And when you have talented guys like the Texans do on the offense, they've got Mixon, they've got Stroud, they've got Nico Collins. Those guys are going to go out there and they're going to make plays. If you can rely on them to consistently, go out on the field, again, make plays, score. Then you just really need to worry about the defense going out there and getting those key stops, and that's what's going to help the Texans win this game. I don't know if that's going to happen, but defense is going to be huge for them this weekend.
They have to come up huge.
Absolutely.
And I also just read something that said that Mixon is questionable for the game, so if he doesn't play, you might as well just count them completely out at that point. If you have no running game and you basically have a depleted wide receiver core, how the hell are you going to win?
Right.
There's no way. So, I mean, I think the Chiefs were going to win anyway, but if that definitely happens, I would count them out completely. Count them out. Yeah. Ravens Bills. I mean, this one's probably the closest matchup of them all. We've got 2 MVP candidates up against each other. This is the matchup I was waiting for.
Absolutely. I think this is the matchup kind of everyone knew was going to happen. You know what I mean, in the divisional. And this is easily going to be the best game so far. Maybe honestly all the playoffs.
It could be.
It could be the best game of the playoffs. It literally could be potentially. This is a really good matchup, like you said, between 2 MVPs, 2 really good powerhouse teams. Who do you got in this game?
Yeah, it's tough. My heart is with Lamar and the Ravens. My mind is with the Bills. And there's no rhyme or reason to why I'm picking the Bills. I just think that Josh Allen is a better quarterback. I just think he's a little bit better of a quarterback. And I love Lamar. But when the Bills are on, they are on. They beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs one loss. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That was a fake loss to the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm not counting that, obviously. And the Broncos are out. The Bills just beat them. So, obviously. Anyway, when the Bills are on, the Bills are on. And I think in these scenarios, this is going to be a super high-scoring game. Yeah. 30-plus points, probably both teams.
Absolutely.
I think in the end,
2 good defenses still, but this is just going to be an offensive-powered game.
It's going to say a lot about who the better quarterback is, because right now I think it's Josh Allen. But Lamar's right there. He's I'd put him at 2. Well, between those two, I think Mahomes is the best quarterback. But you know what I mean, right?
You'd go I guess that's a different debate. We'll get into that another time. We'll debate quarterbacks another time. But basically, you have Allen and Jackson neck and neck. You just have Allen
somewhere
right above him.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I think that's a good argument. I think a lot of people would agree with you. I think some people would disagree with you. I think just to play devil's advocate, I think Lamar has less of a turnover problem than Allen does.
That's fair.
He's a little more. Not to say that Josh Allen isn't athletic, but Lamar is more like shifty and quick. I think the more Allen is, he's more of a play action threat. Josh Allen still is, but Lamar is super quick.
Yeah.
Lamar is speedy. It's hard to catch him. And Lamar can throw the ball too. It's not like he just relies on the run game. Lamar's a great quarterback at throwing too. You know what I mean? He's a former MVP.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's looking for his MVP. In this game, I'm gonna go with the Ravens. I'm gonna take the Ravens. I think going into I think we said last week, I had the Ravens winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So it would make sense.
And I'm gonna continue with my prediction. I'm gonna take the Ravens. I think this is another game, like you said, it's gonna be high scoring. Lamar's gonna do his thing.
Hopefully.
Derrick Henry's gonna continue to do his thing.
That's the key for the Ravens. Is Derrick Henry, and if he has a big day, the Ravens win this game.
Absolutely, they do. Absolutely, they do.
Dual threat at running with the quarterback and the running back both could make big plays at any time. That's huge. And I think so. For the key for the Ravens is getting Henry going again, which they should have no problem doing.
Nope.
And the key for the Bills is shutting down that run game because I think they can beat them in defense against the pass.
Yeah. In the passing game. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But I think if Henry and Lamar are scheming up plays to run the ball and they're just running all over the Bills, that's how they're going to win that game. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, I agree with you too. And if they're going to continue to run the ball and have success with that, it's also going to open up a little more opportunities for Lamar to throw the ball because they're going to, start tightening the box a little bit, thinking that the run's coming, and it might open up more opportunities for Lamar to throw the ball. So, again, it's going to be high scoring. I think, like we said, Lamar's going to do his thing. Derrick Henry's going to do his thing. The receivers are going to get open and make plays for Lamar if they can continue to open up the run game.
Yeah.
So, I think the key to the game for the Ravens, like we said, is the run game, as it always is.
Yeah. And I think the betting odds for this are neck and neck.
I'd imagine, yeah.
I think it opened up as the Bills being the favorites, then the Ravens being the favorites like a day later. It's so weird. So obviously there's no clear winner, and you could go either way here, and I wouldn't be surprised. I would be like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I mean, are you looking up?
I am looking up as of right now.
I'm curious.
Money line. Baltimore is the favorite, barely though. According to the CBS article, Baltimore is at -117 and Buffalo's at -102. I don't know what book this is, but either way, it's still pretty much just dead even.
Yeah.
It's 51-49. Like who do you got at that point? I'm gonna take the Ravens. Are you taking the Bills? You said you take.
I'm gonna take the Bills. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Bills.
Okay.
But again, I'll reiterate. Not surprised if either team wins here. They both have a fighting shot to make it to the Super Bowl. Yeah.
I think honest to God, either team is going to beat whoever wins this game. I think is going to beat the Chiefs. That's just my take on it. But we'll come back to that next week.
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out because the Chiefs will probably be there, and then whoever wins that game will be there. So
we'll see.
We'll come back to that.
Also, I saw this DraftKings deal where I think they did this before. Bet on the person to score the longest touchdown. Now, whether that's like a longest run, it's like a longest play thing.
Yeah.
Or if it's the longest catch for a touchdown. I don't even know who that might be. They said if you bet on the correct person, you get a portion of $2 million split between how many people bet on that person. I was thinking about doing it. I think the most likely to do that is Gibbs and Nico Collins. Those are my two most likely to get the biggest plays, just because in that Texans offense, if they're going to have to throw that ball a lot against Mahomes, Nico Collins is basically the only guy they could probably do that to.
Right.
And then Gibbs, I think, almost has the longest run each week because he's just crazy good at just big plays and getting chunk of yards.
Absolutely.
That's if I was going to do that, those are the two I would bet on. I just thought that was interesting, to bring up. I was thinking about it.
I don't know. I'm about to go in and place a bet as well. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Maybe we'll post something on the channel. Maybe potentially. I don't know. We'll take a look at it and we'll analyze it and see from there. If not, then we'll at least post something with our prediction on our socials, on our TikTok.
Yep.
Could be the last week of TikTok in the United States potentially. We don't know.
So if any of you mystery watchers who are not already followed on the socials, watch out for any new potentially new apps that come out so we can get on them and be ready to follow us on there. If we do that, I don't even know what's going to happen.
We'll figure it out. You know what I mean? I think this Sunday is when it's supposed to shut down.
20th, right? Is that what it is?
The 19th. The 19th. But we'll see what happens. If not, we'll at least still be on the Instagram as well, and we'll try to consistently post on there. And like Drew said, if TikTok does get shut down, maybe we'll find a new platform as well to continue on. But definitely at least the Instagram for now. Go follow that. We'll post our predictions for the weekend, make a parlay. And
that sounds good to me.
Yeah. So we'll look out for that. But I think that's that for our, divisional playoff predictions.
Yep.
Let's jump over into NBA. So the NBA, a couple weeks ago, opened up their All-Star voting for fans.
Yep.
And All-Star voting closes in about 4 days for the fans.
The 20th.
So we're about there.
Yeah.
All-Star game's coming up in a couple weeks. So it's exciting. And I no other way to celebrate it by going and, adding who we think should be the All-Stars this year. The starting five. Who do we think should be the starting five for the West, and who should be the starting five for the East? It's it's tight.
It is.
There's tight. I think there's some obvious ones, but we'll go over, and I think there's some ones that could be debatable. So let's jump into it. I got
Let's
it.
do it, man.
I got it pulled up right here. So let's see. I'll pull it over a little bit for you, too.
Yeah, I got it on my screen too.
Okay.
I just figured we'd look at it at the same time,
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start in the West. Honestly, we'll start on the left. I'll start with the front court. Okay, so we got 3 in the front court to pick from. We got some great players here. I think there's some obvious ones: Jokic, Durant, a couple good ones. Really good ones. What am I saying? Anthony Davis, Wembanyama, LeBron, Jaren Jackson, Brandon Ingram, Zion. A lot of great players here.
Yeah,
a lot of good options. I think the 2 obvious ones to at least begin with: Jokic.
Jokic is there no matter what. I feel like
he's there no matter what. KD is there no matter what. And this third one, I think it's up for debate a little bit. But I think it's down to 2, in my opinion. I think it's down to Anthony Davis and Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, just strictly based off points, rebounds, assists, if that's what we're going off of. Yeah. I wouldn't.
They're very similar. They're like pretty similar.
I wouldn't put LeBron in it. I
wouldn't quite put LeBron in it. Anthony Davis was up there considered for MVP candidate, so
yeah.
It's hard to not pick him there. Wembanyama has been incredible this season.
Yeah.
It's tough either way. Who do you have kind of one you lean towards? I'm kind of indecisive here who I want to go with.
Yeah, I don't mean to just strictly go off statistics, but I think it makes a lot of sense here to go Davis because of his stats, strictly because his teammate is also an all-star vote.
Yeah.
And the fact that he has more points, and they're practically tied at assists, and he has maybe like 1 more rebound than Victor.
Yeah.
I think that says a lot more because Victor has to carry for his team. I'm not saying that he's necessarily worse than Davis. I'm saying that Anthony Davis is putting up more points with a better teammate.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I get exactly what you're saying, and I agree with you. I think Anthony Davis probably will get picked here.
Yeah.
I think also just because he's been in the league so long, he's, I guess he kind of gets the veteran, pick as well. If that kind of makes sense. Like the veterans kind of usually get over. Wemby's in his second year. Wemby's gonna make the All-Star team regardless. But in terms of starting 5, I definitely probably would pick Anthony Davis as of right now.
Oh, yeah.
As of right now, but again, I can understand the argument as to why you would want to go Wembanyama, and maybe in a couple weeks it ends up being Wembanyama that should start over Anthony Davis. But, yeah, for now, let's go Anthony Davis there.
You like that too?
I like that too. So our front court right now for the West is looking like Jokic, Durant, Davis. Really good 3 front court right there.
Got it.
Let's go over to the guards now. We get 2 guards here. A lot of really good options in the West. Shea, Luka, Ant, De'Aaron Fox, Devin Booker, Kyrie, Curry, Powell, Harden, McCollum. Like, these are some really good players. Again, you look at the top. These are some of the best top scorers in the league right now.
Yeah.
I think Shea definitely is going to be there. I think that's an MVP candidate.
I feel like that one's undebatable, to be honest.
Undebatable. Now, here's where we go. You look at the stats with Luka. Luka's averaging about 28 a game.
Yep.
Luka's playing great, but he's also not eligible for any awards because he's not going to be able to make the 62 game deadline cut. So he's not eligible for any all NBA teams. He's not eligible for any of the awards. So now does this kind of take out of where we would put him for an All-Star, or do you think he still deserves to be in the All-Star game for the games that he's played in at least?
That's an interesting question, because I think it's fair to say that the All-Star game should be separate from like awards to the end of the season. But also that's tough.
It is tough. Let me pull up my phone real quick just to get an exact number of how many games Luka's played this season.
Yeah, because I mean, if we're talking minimal games, obviously I'm not going to put Luka here. I don't know the exact number of games, so I think they're about like 40 games through the season at this point, somewhere around there. So if he has less than 50%, it's like
so like I said, number 4, 8.
See, 12, I don't even know if it actually
16.
says.
He's played, I think, 17 games.
Yeah, see, you're below 50%, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I think it's kind of...
It's tough. I mean,
tough.
It's the All-Star. It's not, again, like we said, it's not All-NBA. It's not, MVP. But I guess you do kind of have to take that into consideration.
Yeah.
So, do we exclude him or do we include him? I think if we include him, I think he gets it, just basically pure off the stats.
Purely off stats, yeah.
But, again, he hasn't played as much this season as, like Fox, Edwards, Booker.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure in the fan vote, Curry is on there too, which is interesting.
Like I was saying, though, with Davis, I think Curry just kind of gets the, like you said, the fan vote, and I think he just gets the veteran popular vote.
It's usually how it is.
It's usually kind of how it goes with the All-Star. So, but I don't want to do that. Curry's been having a good season, but I don't want to do that. I think there's other guys who are having better seasons. I think, in my opinion, it comes down to Fox and Edwards. But when you want to look at team success, I think Anthony Edwards is, leading a better team to a better record right now than Fox is with the Kings. The Kings are starting to turn it around a little bit recently, but I don't know. It's hard with Luka. For the sake of it doesn't really matter though. For the sake of the video, let's exclude him.
Sure.
Just because he's not eligible for those awards. But he probably will still end up getting on the team. But in terms of starters, I think Anthony Edwards is the move here.
Yeah. You know what? And I was thinking about Fox at first. And then I realized Malik Monk and DeMar DeRozan are on the team. Again, it's so tough to bring that into an argument. Just because there's other good teammates on the team doesn't mean that they're less of a good player. You know what I mean? The stats between these two are super similar. Fox's are better. If you're going to count, I don't know if rebounds are as important, but the assists, 2 more assists and an extra 0.5 points. The 2 assists are key for Fox, but then again,
statistically, Fox is averaging more points and more assists.
Right.
But
who else is on the Timberwolves? I mean, they have DiVincenzo.
Oh, sorry, I blanked. They got
they've
got Rudy, Gobert. You know what I mean? They've got some other. They've got some good talent on.
He's
that
a
team.
good defensive player for sure. So they
got some good defense on that team.
I don't know. This one's tough.
I think
I'm leaning more towards Fox, but I'm also I wouldn't.
For the sake, I will go Fox if you want to go Fox.
I mean, I would rather you debate your if you're like Ant is better than Fox. I want to hear that. You know what I mean?
I think as a player, definitely Ant is better than De'Aaron Fox.
Okay.
I mean, De'Aaron Fox again is on a worse team rather than the T-Wolves are as of right now, just standings wise.
Yep.
I think Fox is more of a predominant scorer. Like I think they rely a little more on him to score than maybe Ant does. They still do rely on Ant heavily, but I think they've got a better supporting cast and better team chemistry, so that it works. So other players are getting the ball, and Ant doesn't have to literally shoot every time. Not that De'Aaron doesn't, but I think Ant's a better overall player. That's why I would give him this All-Star vote. But again, like the stats show, De'Aaron Fox statistically was averaging more points and more assists per game. I can't be mad at either one here, though.
No, that's fair. I think your take about the fact that, stats aside, I think Ant is just a better all-star. He's just a better player overall.
Yeah.
Is extremely fair. And honestly makes me want to change my mind and vote more towards Ant. Because then again, this is an all-star thing, and this isn't a point thing.
Right.
If Steph, who's not really top of the league in points, he's number 8 on this list in the West. If he's gonna make the All-Star game, obviously, we know Steph Curry is a good player.
Right.
That's why he's gonna make it. You know what I mean? We can put aside the stats for a second and just be like, hold on, who is a good player? Who deserves to be here? I actually would agree with you in that stance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So honestly, I'd go Ant.
Ant.
Yeah.
Okay. I think regardless, I think De'Aaron Fox is still going to make the All-Star
Sure.
team. Regardless, he will be there.
He'll be on the bench.
Just starting wise. So that sets the West. So our front court for the West is going to be Jokic, Durant, Davis. Our guards are going to be Shea and Ant Edwards.
Yeah, I mean that feels right.
That feels about right. I like that. But let's go over to the East now. Again, we'll start in the front court this time.
I think Giannis is going to make this list no matter what.
Absolutely.
So I think, without even looking at anything else, Giannis should be there.
Absolutely.
You
And I
agree?
think another one that should absolutely be there without even thinking is Jason Tatum.
I agree with you
Absolutely.
on that.
There's not even a question about that. Jason Tatum, Giannis right there.
Dude, he's really elevated his game this year. Like, he was already one of the best in the league.
And he just continues to get better.
And he got better.
He just continues to get better. Jason Tatum is an incredible talent.
Yep,
He's one of the best
there.
players in the NBA.
We got this Celtics Santa, by the way. Yeah, it's just a Funko Pop, and it's Santa as a Celtics figure.
I like it.
So that'll be making appearances here and there. I just figured I'd point that out. All right, who else? So we need one more front court.
We need one more for the front court. And now this one's kind of tough. You got some really good options.
You do. You got a lot.
You got Paolo Banchero.
Yep.
Who's averaging about 27.5 as of right now, 8 boards, about 5 assists a game. Cat averaging about 25.5. About 3.5 assists and about 14 rebounds, which is absolutely incredible.
It's insane.
That one's tough for me.
Because I don't think Towns is as good as his stats show.
I think Towns is.
I think he's
He's
good.
one of the best centers in the NBA. He's so good. I love Towns.
You think so?
I think, personally, I'd probably go Towns here.
Wow.
I think Towns makes. Towns just has better stats. He may average about 2 less points, but he averages about 6 more rebounds per game than Paolo. Now Paolo is more of a forward rather than a center.
Yeah.
But even for Cat to average 14 boards a game, it's still really good. It's incredible. You got other good options. I mean, like Embiid's up there, but again, Embiid's had his problems with his injuries. Franz Wagner, same thing with the injuries. Jaylen Brown has been absolutely incredible this season as well. Can't forget about him.
Yeah.
RJ Barrett's been good. A couple other really good options, but I think, again, it comes down, I think it's Banchero or Towns. I'm going to go Towns here. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of indifferent, to be completely honest. If you're saying Towns, I can agree with you there. I think Banchero has been more dominant than his previous seasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
This year,
he's been improving a lot.
For sure.
He's having a really good season. He's going to make the All-Star. These two, absolutely, no matter what, are going to make the All-Star game.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of who's going to start.
I also just can't help but think that Banchero is far and beyond the best player on his team. And when it comes to the Knicks, there's so many good, talented players on the Knicks that it's they can spread the ball around, and one of them is going to score. Again, back to my point, it doesn't matter who. It doesn't matter the team, though. We're just focusing straight on the player. I have a tough time saying Towns because I don't as much as I think he's a great player, one of the best centers in the league, if not the best. You know what I mean? I don't think he is the best, but I have a tough time putting him there. I would rather Banchero, but I would lean Towns too. If that makes sense. I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying. I guess again, to play a little devil's advocate for Towns.
Sure.
I think the Knicks are a better team than the Magic are. I think they're better.
Yeah.
On paper, I think they're a better overall team.
You're gonna get more points that way, though.
Absolutely, yeah. But look at Cat's still averaging about 25.5 points on a really good team that has Jalen Brunson, who is one of the best guards in the league. At least, you know what I mean. He's still scoring a lot of points, and they've got some good some good big men as well. Josh Hart getting rebounds. I don't think Mitch Rob's has played too much because of injury, but he's still a really good center as well.
Yep.
And Cat's averaging about 14 boards a game, which I have to imagine is maybe the best. He might have the most rebounds per game in the league. If not, maybe second or third. No less than that. I'd have to double check.
I think he does have the most, to be completely
He probably
honest.
does. He probably does. And he's averaging, again, 25 and a half. He's having a really good season on this new team with the Knicks. Not to dunk on Banchero because, again, he's improved a lot. He's almost scoring about 28 points a game. He's incredible. But in terms of All-Star, I'm going to go Knicks. I'm going to go with Knicks center, Karl-Anthony Towns. That's just how I'm going to take it. I don't know if that changed your mind at all, or if you're still kind of on Banchero.
Yeah, that's fine. And as I was thinking of it too, Franz Wagner is also on the Magic. So, I'm not taking back my point of that Banchero is far and away is the best player on the team.
He still easily is, yeah.
But, Franz Wagner's right there too.
Yeah.
I'd go Cat. I like that. And I think the fan vote would probably
I think the
Cat
fan vote
too.
will reflect that too. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
So, Towns, and then that would complete our front court.
Yeah.
And now we need 2 guards.
All right, so let's go to our guards. Some good options here. I think there's one guard here.
Yeah.
Absolutely, no matter what, is going to be picked. I think that's LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball is averaging about almost 30 a game.
He's crazy.
7.5 assists, 5.5 rebounds. He's having such a great season. He stepped up a lot for this Hornets team.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely all-star worthy. But now when we get here, I think this one can get a little tough. This next guard spot. You've got some really good guards here. You got Jalen Brunson, like we were just talking about. Tyrese Maxey's been good when he's been stepping up. The 76ers have had kind of a down year, but Maxey's been a bright spot on that for the most part consistently. Damian Lillard, he's going to continue to do his thing. That's Damian Lillard. Cam Thomas is having a good season. On a bad Nets team. I think another sneaky one is Cade Cunningham, who's having a really good season as well.
That's what I was looking at.
24.5, almost 9.5 boards. 9.5 assists.
Which is impressive.
Which is really good. And about 6.5 rebounds. You got some other good guards. I think Donovan Mitchell is another one to be talked about. His points aren't reflected, but Donovan's leading the best team in the NBA right now with the Cleveland Cavaliers, so that you can't leave out someone like him. But this one, again, this is up for debate. If it was up to me, I'd put it to 3. I'd put it to, Donovan Mitchell, Cade Cunningham, and Jalen Brunson.
It's so interesting that you say that because those are the 3 guys that I'm also looking at and trying to decide between. I think if I had to choose between them based off purely all-star, who's the better player, Donovan Mitchell is my favorite among them.
Yep.
But who's having the better season? I would give it actually to Cade Cunningham.
I agree with you. I would give it to Cade as well. Like we said, Donovan Mitchell's leading the best team in the NBA right now.
Yeah,
he's playing,
of course.
He's playing really good. His points might not be as high as someone like LaMelo Ball or Jalen Brunson, but he's still getting close to like the Jalen Brunson, Tyrese level Maxey. LaMelo is in his own tier right now. He's the only guard about averaging 30, so he's obviously going to get there. But Cade is playing exceptionally well. He's a really good all-around player, and he's leading Detroit to an above 500 record for probably the first
time.
Which
is insane.
For the first time in a couple of years. I think at this point last year they probably had only won like 3 games throughout the season. They were terrible, and they weren't even trying to tank last year. They were trying to win games. But Cade has taken a huge step here, and now they're above 500. They're looking to maybe get into a playoff spot.
Yeah.
And that's all because of Cade. And I think Cade deserves that all-star spot.
I think he deserves the starting spot.
I think, the starting spot, excuse me. So you want to go with Cade there?
I'd go Cade.
I like that a lot.
That might be like the most controversial take here, but I think there's a lot behind it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why would we choose Cade Cunningham for a starting spot?
Yeah.
I'm cool going Cade.
Absolutely. I think we should definitely go Cade here.
All right, let's do it.
So that leads our East All-Stars with the front court, Giannis, Jason Tatum, Cat, and our guards are going to be LaMelo Ball and Cade Cunningham. It's a little different, you know what I mean, than other years. It's not as much of a it's a little different. Cade, I don't think he's never been an all-star starter.
Nope.
LaMelo Ball hasn't. Cat is just coming into the East now, so this would be his first time.
Yeah.
Over in the West, I think all these guys have been a starter. Maybe not Ant.
Ant.
I think
maybe.
may or may not have been last season. I'd
Yeah,
have to
I can't
double
remember.
check. But these are guys that are going to be there anyways. I think the East has a new look to it, though, when it comes to all-star starters, and that's, because of the guards.
If this was the starting lineup between these two, who do you think wins, the East or the West? I think it's tough.
That's tough.
I think the West is more dominant.
I think the West is more dominant. I think it comes down to guard play. I think both front courts are really good. I think they match each other.
Oh yeah.
Giannis and Jokic is a really good matchup. Katie, Tatum,
That's
very
a good
similar
one.
players in a sense.
Yeah.
Very high offensive scoring and production there. Towns and Davis, that's another good matchup. Two big men who are also really good on the offense and can shoot the ball.
Yep.
But again, like I said, it comes down to guard play. Shane and Ant are two of the best guards in the NBA.
It's hard to beat that.
It's really hard to beat that. Not to, again, dunk on LaMelo or Cade,
Yeah.
but when it comes down to that, I think that's the matchup that means more is the guards.
Oh yeah.
So in this game, if it was going to be 5v5 like this, I would take the West to win this
Yeah,
one.
me too. Me too.
But again, these are all all-stars. These are all going to be all-NBA team guys. These are some of the MVP candidates right here. So it's going to be a tight game regardless.
Oh yeah.
But I would have the West winning this
I
if this
agree
was the
with you.
starting five.
So I mean, we're gonna have to submit our picks under the Inside the Trailer official count.
Yeah.
Not that it might matter too much, but I think our votes are valid, and I'm excited to see what it ends up being. I'm curious about what the fan votes are looking like right now. If you have those stats, do you?
I do have them pulled up right here. Let's take a look at this.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll start in the West again. The front court. Jokic. I'll go in order.
You don't even need to say how many fan votes.
I'm not gonna. I won't name the amount of votes. I'll just go. We'll go down the list. Jokic, LeBron, KD, Wemby, Anthony Davis, Sengun, Jalen Williams, Andrew Wiggins, Sabonis, and Jaren Jackson.
Interesting.
If you want to go based off the top three, Jokic, James, Durant, that would be, I guess, technically the starting three.
James is surprising.
If you want to go like that, yeah,
But
I think
obviously-
it's just the LeBron James tax. Like he's.
Oh yeah.
But I think more people. Obviously, you can see here. More people have Wemby going over Anthony Davis. That was another one we debated.
Yeah.
But again, the All-Star votes I think count for about, or the fan votes count for about half
Yep.
of the All-Star
It is.
votes.
It's 50%. Yeah.
So it might not mean anything in the end with Wemby and Davis, but it's funny. It's just interesting to see that the fans clearly think that Wemby, is over Davis.
Yeah.
In terms of guards, though, you got Shea, Curry, Luka, Kyrie, Ant, James Harden, Ja Morant, De'Aaron Fox, Devin Booker, and Powell.
Fox that low?
Yeah, I know.
It's
Fox at low is
insane.
kind of crazy. Fox at 8 that's kind of wild. I guess maybe it's because Sacramento hasn't been as good this season.
Yeah, must be right.
That could be it. Shea, the clear cut number one guard.
Yeah,
We
by
had
far.
him there. Curry, I think being up there. Curry's still having a good season. It's the fan vote. It's the popular vote. That's why Curry's gonna be there every year until he retires.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had Ant. He was at 5. Kyrie, another surprising one for me was Kyrie getting picked over him.
Yeah.
Luka, I can understand. We excluded him obviously because we thought that he didn't play enough games. But Kyrie being
understand
picked
it.
over him is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one to me.
Well, yeah, Kyrie over Ant doesn't make any sense to me.
Again, it's a
I
fan
don't know.
vote.
It's
though,
a
so
fan
It
vote.
doesn't really mean anything.
I just didn't think people liked Kyrie more than Ant. But whatever.
I don't know. Jump over to the East though.
Sure.
With the front court, Giannis, Tatum, Towns. That was our starting three right there. Banchero, Brown, Mobley, Butler, Wagner, Embiid, Allen.
I agree with this throughout. I think
Yeah.
this makes a lot of sense. Maybe Embiid should be higher. I'm not complaining.
I'm not complaining. Yeah, I mean, again, that was our three right there: Giannis, Tatum, Towns. We put it in that order too.
Yeah.
In terms of guards, though, LaMelo, Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, Brunson, Trae Young, Tyrese Maxey, Cade Cunningham, Darius Garland, Jordan Poole, Tyler Hero. We had LaMelo clear-cut number one guard there too. We had him right. I think it came down, like we said, to between Donovan, Cade, and Jalen. Donovan was the number 2. I can understand why the fans would vote him there.
Yeah.
Jalen was at 4. Okay, we kind of knew he was going to be the top.
Yeah.
A little surprising for me to see Cade that low, but it might just be the Detroit tax. You know what I mean?
It
They're not
is.
as much
It
of a
has to
popular
be.
team. Cade's not as much of a popular and I guess promoted player as like Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, Jalen Brunson would be.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see Cade that low, but yeah. So that's the fan voting right there. I think Giannis is leading all the NBA in terms of fans votes with almost 3.5 million. But
it's insane.
This is going to change. As the next wave goes through. I think again we have 4 more days to submit our picks. So this is going to change a little bit.
Not too much, probably.
Probably not too much. The rankings might change just a tiny bit, but it's going to be interesting to see how the final fan vote goes. But I think it's going to be pretty much, for the most part, pretty much the same. I think it's going to be pretty much the same for the most part. But yeah, no, I'm excited for the NBA All-Star Game. Again, that's coming up in a couple weeks. NBA fan voting ends next week, so we'll be able to see that. It's going to be fun to see, and we'll find out who else makes the All-Star team. Maybe we'll go back and do a segment on players who should make the All-Star team as reserves.
Yeah.
That could be a fun one.
Could be.
Afterwards, maybe we'll talk about who deserved, who was a bust, or who deserved to be an All-Star, you know what I mean, was left out on it, or who shouldn't have been an All-Star. Snubbed, that's the word I'm looking for, excuse me, I'm sorry, not bust. But yeah, we'll come back and we'll talk about that a little more. So, very exciting.
Yeah, I agree.
Wait for that.
Let's jump into our final segment, another short segment, some hockey content. The Penguins placed starting goaltender Tristan Jarry on waivers just last night, or I guess just yesterday in the middle of the day, and he officially 1 day later has cleared waivers. Not a single team wanted to claim Jarry, and Jarry, I mean, the team is fed up with Jarry. There's a reason he's on waivers. I mean, he's a starting goaltender quality-wise, but the fact that no team wanted to pick him up in his bad contract, his contract's not that bad, but it just says a lot about no teams wanting to take like a $5-6 million contract for like a decent goaltender that is having such a bad year.
It's been terrible.
Yeah, and I don't know. The confusion is that they don't have a good goalie behind him. They have Nedeljkovic, right?
That's awful.
It is. Those Russian names and Czech names. It's tough, but he's not starting quality goaltender wise.
Yeah.
He's probably going to drop down to the AHL. I'm a little confused why no team, especially some of the worst teams in the league, wouldn't give him a chance.
I'm very surprised about that as well. I mean, a couple years ago, he's 29 now, but a couple years ago we thought he was one of the better younger goalies that was kind of up on the rise and was going to be really good for the Penguins, and he was playing really good. But
they got rid of Marc-Andre Fleury for him.
I know, which, I mean, should they have done that?
No.
Probably
Looking
not.
back on it,
probably not. Even with Marc-Andre Fleury about to retire,
yeah,
I still would probably take him over Tristan Jarry.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jarry is just not having a good season. I got the stats pulled up here. In 21 starts, he's got 8 wins and 8 losses, and 4 overtime losses. So he's lost 12 games this season. His goals against average is 3.31, not good at all. It's been terrible.
Bad.
Save percentage is 88.6, which is really low. You know what I mean, in terms of starting NHL goalies. In terms of goalies throughout the NHL as of right now, there are 90 ranked. Where do you think Tristan Jarry is ranked?
Got to be at the bottom somewhere. Like 85, something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. He's at 86 right now.
86, yeah.
86. He's the 5th statistically worst goalie this season. He's been
great.
He's been really bad for a Penguins team that consistently is trying to make the playoffs every year. When you've got players like Crosby and Carlson, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Jarry needed to be cut loose. It just wasn't working out. They need to kind of reevaluate. Trade deadline is coming up in a couple weeks, so maybe they're going to be a guy or a team that's in the market for a goalie potentially. We'll kind of see in what Pittsburgh does, but Jarry's out, cleared waivers, and
he'll get sent down. They'll now have to run with Nedeljkovic and also Joel Blomqvist. These aren't popular names in the NHL, and honestly, they won't get far if they do make playoffs, which they're projected right now to make playoffs. If they do, they won't go far. They're a
No.
first-round exit.
And it's going to be because of goalie. It's
And-
a goalie situation.
Yeah, and if you look at their prospect system, there's no big names in their prospect system. I mean, one might break out for them, but they're going to have to make a big move, probably in the offseason, probably not at the trade deadline, just because I don't see them being buyers with Sidney Crosby aging, Malkin aging, Letang aging, Carlson aging. They have a very
It's an old team.
old.
I do agree with you. They might not be buyers. They might
They
just
might be
kinda-
sellers, to be honest.
They could be. They could
I don't
very
know.
likely be. Looking here at that rankings that I have up, Nedeljkovic is ranked 79th. So now you're going through with your starting goalie. You went from 86 to 79. So you're moving up, I guess, but not by much.
It's not good goaltender play,
No, it's really not.
and so it's not
they're
all.
not having good
I-
goaltender play at all.
Yeah, and I guess you could say that the defense isn't good either, because they're not. Carlson's not been playing good defense. Like, he's been playing all right offensively.
But
Defensively, no. Letang is old, and then behind that they have no good defensemen.
yeah,
So it's understandable, but Jarry was supposed to be the next coming of Marc-Andre Fleury, and the fact that he didn't work out is disappointing.
it is disappointing. I don't know. Again, you said he might be sent down to the AHL. We'll see
Probably.
if he makes his way back onto an AHL team the rest of the season.
I mean, if they call him up, it would be because one of their starting goaltenders got injured.
Yeah, it could happen. Maybe Jarry makes his way back up, but
I don't know.
I don't
It's
know.
weird.
I don't know what they do with him. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what goes on. I think at least in the offseason, he'll be gone.
Yeah. Speaking of bad goalies, what do you think of also? Just another name that comes off my mind is Philip Grubauer, who was signed a few years ago after running with the Avalanche to the Cup. He was one of the best free agent goalies in the league at the time. He signs to the the new team, the Kraken.
Yeah.
Big contract. Let me look at the games that Decord is playing. Joey Decord has played 27 games, and Grubauer, who signed that big contract and was supposed to be the starter, has played 20 games, so they're sort of splitting. But Joey Decord is the 7th best goalie statistically in the league, and Grubauer is the last placed goalie in the
dead
league.
ranked last right now. It's crazy because Grubauer is a popular name. You know what I mean in terms of like the NHL.
More popular, yeah.
And like you said, he got the big contract a couple years ago after coming off that cup win with the Avs. He was one of the best goalies in the NHL, and now in 2025 he's
The worst.
statistically the worst. He's absolutely the worst right now, and it's crazy. How much of he's fallen off the cliff. It's incredible. I don't know. I really don't know. I can't necessarily point the blame to the defense right in front of him, because I think they have got a couple good defensemen on that Kraken team. I think the Kraken team are right. I don't think they're that terrible.
Yeah, they're middle. Yeah, they're in the middle.
It's in Grubauer's stats. Let me pull those up very quick. Excuse me.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, no, he's had a really bad year, and I wonder if they're gonna do something at the deadline and try to move him, if they're gonna roll with him and kind of hope things change. But I don't know. Let me pull up his stats real quick.
While you do that, I just want to reiterate that Philip Grubauer is just so horrendously bad that he splits time with Joey Decord, and Joey Decord is statistically one of the best in the league. I just can't say that enough, how bad Philip Grubauer is and how big of a mistake it was to sign him to a big contract, even after such a good cup run, because that Colorado team was stacked back in 2021. And
you think the defense is just what made him look better?
happens all the time. Happens all the time.
Absolutely happen all the time.
Where if you're an okay player but you play on a good team, you're gonna look better.
Absolutely.
And that is all Grubauer was. And I knew at the time that when the Kraken signed him that it was a big mistake. And now we're sitting in 2025 with one of the worst goalies in the league at Philip Grubauer. And you can try to trade him. Are you going to be able to?
You're not going to get
Probably
much
not.
value, if any, really at all right now, if you just look at the stats.
A late round pick, maybe.
Most likely that. I have those pulled up right now. His win totals, 5 wins, 14 losses, 1 overtime loss. Not good at all. His goals against averages is absolutely terrible. 3.76. That is horrendous, and his save percentage is 87%. he's fallen off a cliff. He's fallen off a really tall cliff.
This is the worst goaltending I've seen in decades.
It's terrible.
Like, actually, a long time.
He's getting close to nearly 4 goals a game.
Yeah,
That's
unheard of.
That's terrible.
In the NHL, that is unheard of.
It's unheard of. Because a lot of teams don't even average scoring 4 goals a game. You know what I mean? So to be averaging to let that up is crazy. It's crazy. And especially, you were considered one of the best NHL goalies a couple of years ago. And now look at you. Now you might not even be on the roster by the end of the year. You might be in a Jarry situation where you get put on waivers or traded.
He's such a fraud.
I guess so. Another name that we were talking about earlier was Georgiev.
Yes.
And we've talked about him in the other episode.
Previous episode, yeah.
When he got traded for with Mackenzie Blackwood. And currently right now he's sitting, I think, a little better so he's sitting better than Jarry and Grubauer right now.
Okay.
He's sitting at 80th as of right now, right behind Nedeljkovic. But yeah, he's not had himself a good year. I'm gonna pull up his stats real quick as well. It doesn't seem like he's gotten much better since his trade.
No, in fact, I think he got technically a little bit worse because he went to a worse team.
Yeah.
The thing about him is that he's been consistent with his bad play. He hasn't gotten really too much worse, but I expected him to fall off a cliff going to such a worse team. When that trade happened, we were talking about it. He didn't really fall off a cliff. His stats are still really bad, and he's one of the worst goalies in the league. But I'm actually surprised they're not as bad as they are.
His stats right now, surprisingly, actually, he's got 10 wins and 13 losses. So it's honestly not as bad as I expected it to be. But
yeah.
You go to his goals average, 3.44 a game. Again, that's terrible. And his save percentage is 87.9. So in terms of, what NHL goalie save percentage should be, that's really bad.
Yeah.
And that's another name that has just has been terrible. He's kind of in a similar situation with Jarry, where Jarry's 29, Georgiev's 28. So maybe it's not over, but it's not looking too bright. So
they just feel like similar goal. All three of these guys feel like similar guys where like they were supposed to be so good, and they just have not panned out. And unfortunately, they have very similar careers. Actually, Grubauer and Georgiev are the exact same careers. If you think about it, Georgiev was the backup goalie behind Shesterkin in New York. After like a crazy run on a good team, he goes to Colorado, and that's when all like it started to show how bad he actually was.
Yeah.
So similar stories there. I'd also want to point out that the Sharks are such a bad team, right? But their backup goalie, Yaroslav Askarov, who was traded to the Sharks from the Predators, right? I can't remember if it was off season or beginning of the season. Either way, the Predators had Askarov, and Askarov was like he was the best goaltender prospect in a while, just a few years ago. But they weren't. They had Saros. They signed him to his contract.
Yep.
And so they were like, we have to offload this piece while he still has value. He goes to the Sharks, and he has been like 10 times better than Georgiev has in less games.
Yeah.
But the stats show it. I mean, 8 games played, only 19 goals allowed. He's sitting just above a 2.1 GPA or GAA.
Yeah.
Which is insane, by the way. That's really,
For being
really
on
good.
A really bad team like that too is really good.
And it says a lot.
It does.
I think because you want to be like, oh, Georgiev's just not been on a good team since the trade, and his defense isn't doing anything. Okay, well, Askarov is doing something.
Yeah.
He's better. He's one spot above Andrei Vasilevsky.
Yeah, he's ranked 26th in the league right now.
I'm just saying.
Like you said, above Vasilevsky, who's one of the best goalies in the league.
I'm just saying.
Just putting that out there. Yeah, you just put that out there.
So I mean, these are 3 goaltenders that I would love to keep an eye on and just see down the road where they end up, because they're bound to not be on the team after this year.
Yeah.
Most likely. Georgiev might get another shot. Jarry, I see his career probably, or not career, his Pittsburgh career ending.
Yeah.
Very soon. I see Grubauer's ending very soon.
Grubauer's, I think, 33, 32, 33. So
yeah,
he's getting up there in age as well. But
yeah. Another name that comes to mind, not even just on here, is like a similar story is Jack Campbell. Good prospect for the Kings, or he was a good player for the Kings, right behind Quick. He was supposed to take over. He signs a massive contract, and all of a sudden, Jack Campbell had the biggest fall off in goalie history.
Yeah,
he's playing in the AHL for I don't even know what team. He's irrelevant. I see that happening to Jarry. I see that potentially happening to Grubauer. Georgiev might have more in the tank, but we'll see. We'll see
how they go.
So that's just something to point out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, do you have anything off the top of your head for the any other goaltenders that are interesting? If not, it's perfectly fine.
I mean, we've talked about him before. The Swayman's had his issues, but I think now we've seen Swayman kind of turn it up a little bit.
Yeah,
recently and start to play a little bit better. He's moving up in the rankings right now. He was in the bottom tier of a goalie statistically. He actually was ranked, I think, the worst goalie at one point a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
But now he's making his way up. Korpisalo has been all right. He's kind of been in the middle of the pack, and Swayman's kind of moving right there. So hopefully the Bruins kind of find their groove. They've gotten a couple good wins. They've got a win over the Panthers recently. They got the win over the Lightning the other night. So hopefully they can kind of use those wins as motivation to continue to make a playoff run.
I agree.
And we'll see how Swayman does as well if he continues to improve as the season goes.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. I expected Swayman to come back from this.
Yeah.
There was no way that he signed this huge contract and he was going to be the worst goalie in the league.
He's still such a good goalie, man.
He's a good goalie.
It was just a slump, unfortunately, but
no practice time.
I think he's fine. I think he'll be fine. There's no need to panic on Swayman.
No,
he'll be fine.
No, yeah. So yeah, I mean, we're just hitting the halfway point of the NHL season. Plenty more hockey to be played, and still a lot to be seen from goalies, from players. There's just a lot of NHL stuff to come. Usually, this is around the time where things start to turn up. Trades start happening soonish.
Yeah.
In a month or so. Teams start to sell, teams start to buy, and things get changed up so quickly. So, we're just on the outside looking in. And there's more to be done in the NHL. But that pretty much wraps it up for today's episode. Probably a shorter one. I don't remember when we started, but either way, that'll do it for us. We'll have to see how our NFL predictions tune out, how the NBA All-Star game will go, and how the vote goes there. And again, how these NHL goalies pan out during the rest of the year. But that wraps up our episode. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and a comment down below, and we much appreciate it. And subscribe for more weekly podcasts and other content on other social medias. If you're not already following, the links are in the description. Be sure to follow on there too. And with TikTok being shut down, maybe soon there might be a new account on a new platform. We'll have to see. So hopefully be excited for that. Is there anything else you want to tell the audience before we go?
Don't mind my appearance. I'm sorry about that. I know, I got a pretty I got an elbow to the eye the other night in basketball.
Bad fight.
It was a bad one. You should have seen the other guy.
Yeah.
But no, so don't mind that appearance. That's why I maybe turned my head a little bit more. But no, other than that though, I think that's about everything. So yeah, again, like you said, look out in case we're on a new platform, in case TikTok gets shut down. We'll definitely at least be on Instagram.
Yep.
So definitely check out the Instagram. We're going to try to upload a little more consistently on there, just, in case TikTok gets shut down. So we're putting more stuff out. And again, like we said, be on the lookout for a new platform as well.
Yep. So again, if you enjoyed, be sure to do all that I just said. And we will see you back for episode 11 next week. See you guys later.